thankful, I'm thankful to God that I didn't, but I had poetry. I was very suicidal. Yeah, you're right. I got my money and I got out of here. And that's kind of selfish. But then again, when you think about how crazy the world be, it makes you think about things differently, about protection of your kids.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lavatory podcast. I'm joined with a special guest today. Don't worry, I'm gonna add in, sound effects and claps.
Oh no, that's so crazy that you just introduced me by my government. So crazy.
So sorry. Do you have a stage name that you go by? Take that back. I'm gonna take that back. I'll just bleep it and then recut it.
iLLSpoken.
iLLSpoken. That's right. So let's start there actually, because what does that mean? iLLSpoken.
So it actually goes all the way back to 8th grade when I actually started writing poetry. First things first is like my brother made music, so he went by Zay Truman at the time. So when I would make music with him and stuff, I would go by Jay Truman because that's my older brother, younger brother. But when it came to like my poetry, it's like I wanted to, of course, be myself, not be under somebody else's shadow. And I was kind of thinking of like a play with words, Back then, everything's, oh, that's sick, that's dope. That's like a way of saying things, but like a different way. The double entendre of it is, the tongue is a double-edged sword. So it can either hurt, harm, or it could protect as well. So when I say ill, it's like it could be something that's good, something that's bad. But at the end of the day, it's like a neutrality of things. Spoken, of course, it has to be spoken, of course.
That's actually really cool. And then for those who don't know, that's your stage name for what you do, which is spoken word and poetry.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned that you're related to Xavier Abraham.
Xavier Abraham.
As he's known now. And you said that's your older brother.
Yes. So he's the one that introduced me to poetry in general. My whole family's like really musically talented, besides from my dad's side, but my mom's side is like this off the charts with stuff. But me, I got a little bit more of my dad's side, so I wasn't really, musically inclined after, the age of like 12 and up. Puberty started hitting, you're not hitting them notes like you was as a kid no more, sound scratchy, you sound bad, off tune. And I was kind of upset about that because, I got this older brother that can like just sing like, whenever he wants to, like, bro, like it's really unfair to me. So I was like, always in the studio with him when he was working with his friends. And then the 8th grade year came along, and I was like, bro, like I want to like do something. He was like, bro, like you ever try poetry? And I'm like, dude, that stuff is corny, bro. Like, what are we talking about? He was like, no, like really, like you should try it. Like if you like rap, you like listen to all this stuff just like I do. Like you should listen. You should go look at some poetry. So I went and I looked at some people doing poetry. Of course you got all them old school music. Love Jones. You're like, come on, man. Like you start watching that type of stuff, and then it kind of like really just sparked a little something in me. And then I went to school one day, and I had this dude named Aaron Douglas. He makes music. I do not know what his name is, but 8th grade year when I met him, he was like, bro, I can write whenever I want to write. I was like, dude, what are you talking about, bro? Like I can write with my eyes closed. Like I can write a song in 2 minutes. He was like, bet, like meet me next period before break, and we see who got something wrote. So that day I went to class, got in trouble. And the first time I ever wrote a poem was that day. It's called Look Into My Eyes. It's pretty cool. So.
Wow. Okay. And so then you had said that when you had first received the idea of doing spoken word and poetry, that it was corny. What was that shift for you that it transitioned to something that was like, oh, this is actually really cool and powerful?
Honestly, it was that day when I wrote. When I wrote that poem, it was a super simple poem, bro. Like it's nothing crazy, but it was like this feeling that you get when you put things together like a puzzle. Like I've always been a person who likes to understand people. I've always been a person who's like to be intellectual about anything that I do. And then once it came to like the ability to put words together and then get an effect or have an impact on people, I was like, oh yeah, I'm here for it. And he wrote his piece, I wrote my piece. My piece was the piece that was, the better one. And the reactions of which that I got made me feel some type of way. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. So I started writing a little bit more, show my mom, my dad, my poetry and stuff. I started doing poems at church. And, from then on, it was just kind of something that's like I always really liked to do. And then, eighth grade year, there's always, I was going through some mental stuff, as we all do. And it was like a really huge outlet, like I'm talking about times in class when I'm just zoning out and I'm just writing, and it's just, instead of you like having an outlet and you're doing things in a negative way, a lot of kids take it out on themselves, By the way, no offense to anybody when I say this, but kids, that cut themselves or turn to drugs and abuse alcohol, which I didn't do that, and I was thankful, thankful to God that I didn't, but I had poetry. So shout out to my brother for helping me with that, because if it wasn't for that, I was very suicidal eighth grade year, so it was, yeah. So. And if you are dealing with anything like that, you cutting yourself, please reach out to somebody who loves you, cares about you, and let them be an outlet. Don't be afraid to speak up. We're in a day and age where you should just open your mouth, and somebody will help you. Trust me.
Yeah, that's powerful that you say that. Being able to write and express yourself, saved your life and helped you through such a dark time. I actually don't have that much experience with poetry outside of like English class, but looking through history, I've noticed that there has been, whenever there's been big waves in history or big changes in society, there have been poems and pieces that have kind of been at the forefront and at the foundation of those kind of movements. Like the most iconic one that I think of is
National anthem. Sorry,
which one?
I said the national anthem.
Oh, the national anthem. I mean, yeah, that technically, if you want to go there. I was thinking of the revolution will not be televised for like the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
Because that was, there's like this correlation and early relationship with like poetry and hip hop, where like early forms of hip hop is like true, I would say, like poetry. Mm-hmm. And the revolution will not be televised was one of those pieces that kind of solidified itself in history for like what it is now, and looking back on how much it spoke to not just that time, but even today. And so for me, that's like one of those like, oh yeah, like poetry is like a powerful tool that, wherever you look at major points in history, you'll find a piece like that. Mm-hmm. Is that how you think about your pieces, or do the kind of sit more personal and you're not trying to think so like out there with like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make like the next big anthem and the change?
I'm such a realist in things that's like, in all honesty, I don't know if I want to do that. Because there's so many. So for instance, that's your piece that comes to reference. My piece that comes to mind is the national anthem.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, like, what do you mean by that?
And the national anthem is a poem. It's a piece that was written by somebody who was watching the Civil War, right? So when it comes to,
I think in that case it would have been the American Revolution.
Oh man,
okay, I'm pretty sure it's American Revolution.
Whatever, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's basically by somebody who's doing that, and it's such an iconic piece, but it doesn't really depict everything that's true. It doesn't depict everything that happened and everybody who's actually, shedding their lives. And, if you read the third verse, it's much, much deeper. It's much more impactful. Everybody go check out the third verse of the national anthem if you haven't. It's pretty crazy. But to me, it's like, once again, leading back to the double-edged sword thing, it could either be something that could live on in history for good, but for those who actually know, it could be something that's like a martyr or something that's like more like, man, like that. I don't like that. It's not nice. It's not good. And that's why I don't think I would want my poetry to like necessarily live on in that fashion. I'd much rather let it be more of a personal impact on people. So like, I'm Christian, as you know me for a minute. And one of the biggest things that comes to mind is Jesus wasn't preaching in the church. He was out on the roads. He was traveling amongst the people, giving a word then and there. And that's how I like my poetry, until I put my book out, and unless you get my book and read my book, if you're there and you hear it, you hear it. And if not, it's like, I don't know if I want to, put out this piece that's so huge and so big that generations upon generations, that's cool. That's cool. But
So it's one of those like, if it happens, it happens,
yeah,
but it's not like something I'm actively.
yeah, I mean, fame and
working towards.
fortune, I've never like, if I get famous, if I get rich, I promise you, I'm probably gonna be a philanthropist, or I'm gonna be blowing that money on my family and my kids, because at this point in time, it's like I'm gonna dip off. You're not gonna see me, and I'm not gonna be in the news. I'm not gonna be nowhere. You're gonna be like, "Hey, what happened to that one dude? He was a one-hit wonder." Yeah, you're right. I got my money and I got out of here, and that's kind of selfish. But then again, when you think about how crazy the world be, it makes you think about things differently, about protection of your kids, being a celebrity, having everything out there in public, front of you. So it's kind of different nowadays. Now, some people, you can hide behind his Instagram and those type of walls. But then again, once you get to a certain point of fame, certain point of notoriety, it's like, are you going to sit back behind that, or are you going to go and travel? I would be the person to go and travel. So I'd rather probably, sounds crazy, stay a little bit smaller for the meanwhile, travel, for those people who do hear it, they hear it. Who people are that are impacted, they're impacted, and I hope that it's a positive impact, because that's all I really want my poetry to do, So
And so, what are like some of like the themes that you find yourself going back to in your poetry? Like, are they like symbolisms for things that happen in your personal life, or are they like metaphors for certain points that you're trying to get across, or are you like highlighting a certain topic? Like, what kind of themes do you touch on in your poems?
in all honesty, it ranges. It's a very big range. When I was in high school, it was very dark. It was very dark. 8th grade year, freshman year, sophomore year, it was very dark. A lot of things about self-harm, things about but it was an outlet for me. So instead of me actually doing those things to myself, going and seeking knives to cut myself, or a gun to shoot myself, I'm like, I'm putting it out there, like, this is how I feel. And then I let it be shown to people, instead of like actually hiding it, I shared that with other people. And when I shared that with other people, it was like an outlet for them as well, because like I said, in 8th grade year, there's a lot of people who are going through the same thing that you're going through, just in different ways, right? So once I was in 8th grade year, high school, it was really dark, but then again, I also had poems that spoke about, brighter days, things that are positive and mental, outlets in good ways. I also did poems for my church, like I said, so I was always talking about God, always talking about Jesus, which I loved because it was inspirational for me. But then again, I have friends, they wanted me to write poems for them, so I'm talking about love, I'm talking about this, I'm talking about that, And then again, I got emotions, so when I get hurt, I write about something, and, when I like somebody, I write about something, and so on and so forth. In technicality, I got about like 30 poems written about the same girl, because I've been in love with her for the very long span of time. But hey, look.
Going behind the camera.
You already know.
Got you.
Yes, sir.
Got you.
It's my bad.
It's actually really interesting that you mentioned this 8th grade period, because I have a buddy named Lavelle, and he's actually working with somebody, and they're trying to integrate spoken word writing classes into middle schools. So I've helped them like film at 2 different schools, one in Canyon Lake and one in Lake Elsinore middle school. And it's looking like that program is going to get done, and it's going to be like a 6-week thing. But I'm wondering if I can like connect you with them and get you to be one of the like guest speakers to like perform and connect with the kids, because I feel like that would be really great for you. And it's for middle schoolers primarily, because you're right that there is like the drop off between elementary school to middle school is just insane, as far as like how much they don't prepare you for, and like the mental hurdles that you have to get through. Like they don't. I remember being in 5th grade and nobody really explaining like the dramatic changes that your body goes through, that you feel like, just in like the social environment, and having to just like adapt and change. All that is really stressful, in that you do see that intensity like during like those years. Would that be something you'd be interested in?
Look, if it comes to helping the youth, if it comes to helping people and having a positive impact, that's something I'm always here for. When the Black Lives Matter movement was going on, I got hit up to do a couple poems at a couple different places, and I made sure I was there. So at the end of the day, if the children are at risk, and there's something I could do to help, I mean, what would Jesus do? You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I feel like sometimes people look at middle schoolers, which is like that 12 to 13 range, and they kind of downplay their problems, or like they think, or they try to compare their problems to like where they're at. And it's like, oh, like you have it easy. Like you have parents that take care of you, and you don't have to worry about bills and all that kind of stuff. But there is like this huge stress that they experience and go through. More so now even than when we were kids, because of their access to like technology and social media and internet and all that kind of stuff.
All that. And I mean, the craziest thing for me is like when you think about it, me personally, even when I go and talk to like other adults, other people I look at as mentors, older people, when you talk to them about some of their fears or their biggest what's the word?
Insecurities?
Thank you. Insecurities. A lot of that stems from middle school, especially late middle school, 7th grade, 8th grade, stemming into high school. These are years that really shape you, they really make you, and they break you as well. A lot of the people that I know who committed suicide, they really started going through some of their hardest trials and tribulations from 5th grade year through middle school. You get to high school with them, they might seem happy-go-lucky, and then they get to the real world, and the real world snap them in half. So it's like, I feel like if you can impact them at a certain age and get to them before they can build the traits and the characteristics for them to battle those things, because at the end of the day, you can't, as much as you want to, you can't stop everybody from harming themselves. You can't stop everybody from going through those things. You can't stop nobody from going through things in general. But if you can give them the tools to prepare themselves.
Yeah, and I think that point right there is a really good one. I think when it comes to like the youth, and when it comes to equipping people to deal with their problems, I feel like we're losing that in today's day and age. Like we have all this technology and access to things, but the ability to be prepared and have a readiness to deal with problems, I feel like is becoming deteriorated. And I also feel like spoken word is a great introduction to have those conversations. And that's the point I was trying to make. I feel like we're afraid to have like the tough conversations in any topics or when it comes to anything. And we have like this big avoidance culture when it comes to certain things.
I mean, you have a bad day at school, you go home and do what? You start scrolling through reels instead of you actually confronting the problems. I mean, I grew up in a day and age when my parents asked me how my day was, and if I had a bad day, they knew. Nowadays, parents don't know. So it's like, it's a difference.
Yeah.
It's a difference.
Yeah, and I feel like, touching on that again, that spoken word can be a great introduction, and I'm so happy to hear that that's how you're using it. That's kind of how I want this podcast to be too, is to be able to approach some of these tougher topics and to start conversations, whether it be in the comments or just through people reacting to the videos and just getting a feel for like, oh, like this is what they were talking about, like what is your take on that? And then it's through those exchanges of ideas that I feel like we can get to a better solution. But at the same time, I feel like people are sensitive, and when you present your side of the idea or the argument, it becomes so combative of like, no, well, this, I'm right, you're wrong. And how do you feel like you've like managed that when it comes to receiving criticism or any types of critiques or responses when it comes to your spoken words? Like, what have people said, and were you combative, or did you try to see like where they were coming from, the perspective and all that?
In all honesty, I truly do hope that me being on this podcast is going to help me experience something different. Since the day that I have wrote poetry, I swear on everything, I kid you not, I swear, God's my witness, will not lie, I've never received a bad review. And it makes me feel insecure. Like, are people lying to me? I know I can't be that good. Like I know that my poetry has an impact. I'm talking about like people weeping, breaking down in tears. I'm talking about in front of like she's been there when I done my poetry. There's people in the congregation, hallelujah. But it's like I've never received the bad review, and it's like okay, I know that first and foremost that I'm blessed by God. I know that for a fact. A lot of people don't have a way with words like I have a way with words. And I've known that since before I wrote poetry. My whole family, they'd be like, oh man, he got the gift of gab. Okay, I had to look that up. I didn't know what that was. I guess it's in the Bible somewhere. But once I figured out, like, my ability to talk and understand, not only talk, but also listen and gather information and understanding from other people's trials and tribulations before I go through it myself, it's given me the ability to grow my own talent. So it's like I be rambling, man. How do I explain it? Ask me the question one more time so I can explain it thoroughly.
Well, it sounds like we're gonna find out if you're good or not because I personally haven't heard your pieces in full length without any disruptions. I've seen some clips online.
I think I'm pretty good. I think that I think I'm pretty good, but I think it got to a point where I stopped caring. I mean, of course I care. I'm not gonna lie, but I stopped caring because of the impacts that I have had.
Like stop caring about response, like criticism or what people.
Yeah, because I mean, if there's one person in that crowd that heard my poem that had a positive impact, I don't care if there's 30 people that had a negative. I mean, that's how life works. There's Jesus got stoned, crucified. Who am I? I'm okay. You don't like my poem? Cool. I'm gonna write another one. But I haven't received that yet. I have people that, hey, look, you need to send me that. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Copyright infringement. I don't know if I should do that until I get it, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like, do I want that? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do want that because I want to be like, okay, well, what can I do better? My mom, okay, I'll take that. My mom is the only person that has ever said to me this, or that, and it's never been the poem is bad. It's always been, you need to work on your enunciation, your pronunciation. You need to work on your tonality. You need to work on your emphasis. You need to work on that. She gave me pointers, but she never said the words that are coming out of your mouth that you put together are bad. She actually had to wipe her tears before she said anything. So my mom was one of the people that I really worked with. And then, of course, I made music with my brother, and I have a really good musical ear, even though I don't sound the best sometimes sing. My girl likes the way I sing. That's all that matters. So I'd be like doing my poetry and I'd be reciting my pieces. And then I'd be looking up like, okay, like, and everybody like be like, yo, bro, like, hey, you need to publish that. And I'd be like, okay, God is good. Thank you for this. Thank you for that.
All right. So where do you see yourself going in 2026? By the way, you are the first guest of 2026. Congratulations.
Let me just make me feel special, man.
There you go. I did have somebody else scheduled, but I knew we had talked before, and I made sure to squeeze you in because...
Well, whoever that is, thank you for, being patient.
Mm-hmm. Hey, they're not tripping off that. They'll be all right. But where do you see yourself going in 2026? Let's just start with like a 1-year projection. With spoken word, and what would you like to do with that this year?
I'm about to really ramp up my social media presence this year. About to start dropping a couple of different pieces that I already have. I probably have like over 200 different pieces that I can put out right now. So you'll be seeing that on social media. I'll make sure that gets plugged in. But I'm not like, once again, I'm like, if you're there type of person. I'm not even too worried about shouting myself out. But I mean, y'all see my gram is like 300 followers. Because I don't really. But at the same time, I do want my social media presence to get a little bit bigger because I feel like I have a word and I have a voice. And like a lot of people do, but I feel like there's specific people that need to be heard, not everybody are, Malcolm X's or Martin Luther King's, and I'm not saying that's what I am, but I do know that I feel like I can have an impact on a lot more people, especially youth, um, young men, young males, and even when it comes to relationships, getting the woos back on, getting the eyes back on, making people, get them dreamy eyes. Like I said, I feel like I can go far and wide with it, and I think that once I get my social media presence up, what I'm going to be doing is going to be releasing a book. Once I already have a publisher that I'm in works with, so I really want to get that out. That's been a dream of mine since I started writing poetry. Like, really, once I release a book, I really don't care no more after that. I just write just to write for myself and from whoever I want to write to. But I really do want to put a book out. And then after that, I mean, we'll just see how it goes. But in the next 5 months, you guys will see at least, hopefully, a project dropped and a video dropped for it at least every month, hopefully. I really want to push myself. I have all the outlets to do it. I have all the resources to do it, and I've really just been procrastinating. So, yeah.
So sounds like you're really going to ramp up this year.
I'm about to
and
be
let
on
the world
case.
sees. I know you're going to perform a couple pieces after this podcast. I still have no idea what you're going to say or do, and I don't want to know. So I'm
I
excited.
mean, I'll give you topics.
No, it's okay. I'm excited.
not,
I'm
man?
excited to know because I want to experience it just like how they're going to
talk
experience
about
it.
the topics.
Okay, well, fine. We can talk about the topics, but don't give me too much.
I won't
from
give you.
the
I won't
actual
give you too
pieces.
much anything. I won't give you too much anything. I promise.
Okay.
Pause,
What
pause.
what topics did you have in mind for?
Well, first and foremost, I wrote the one that you kind of wanted me to.
Okay.
So there's that. That one is about 2026. We can say that. He knows that. And the other one is the thing about it is, like I told you, my poems aren't that long. I have a couple long pieces. Pause. But I'm sorry. Can't help it.
Fair enough.
But at the same time, though, this is your podcast. So if you want to hear more, I got them in the chamber. But the second one is a little bit about how do I express it. It's about heartbreak a little bit. It's about heartbreak. I wrote it when I was in high school. In all honesty, I say this about a lot of my poems. There'll be times where, like, I'll be going through something and I'll write the poem and I won't finish it, right? And then I'll come back to the poem once I'm already emotionally over it, through it. And I'm like, why am I even revisiting this poem? It's not because it's good. It's not because of that. It's just there's something else and a different reasoning for me to finish it. And that's why I say there's a calling. And the reason why it's one of my favorite poems is because I've been performing it and reciting it since my junior year. That's when I got confident to recite it. But when I say the amount of people that go through and feel the same way about the poem, about their exes or their significant others, even while they're in the midst of their relationship, it's been profound. It's been crazy to me, and it's like, the poem to me is not positive. It's like the ending is kind of wicked, but hey, that's how you feel. That's how you feel, and I've always loved it. And then the other one that I want to do for you is about love. It's really lovey-dovey, and I wrote it about somebody, and yeah, she be all blushed and her ears be hurting and all red and stuff.
All right. Well, February is coming up, so this is gonna be great timing. We kind of did touch on 2026 to some degree because of how people are acting when it comes to this avoidance culture. But what are you seeing in 2026 when it comes to where we are as a society, and where do you feel like spoken word can help insert itself into that problem?
I feel like in 2026 we're gonna deal with a lot of outspoken people, and I feel like it's gonna be oversaturated in many ways, especially with social media. I mean, it's already been happening for the last 3 years, but I feel like it's gonna really ramp up. And on top of that, I feel like there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be going under the radar because of so many outspoken voices. I think it's going to be a year of distraction for a lot of people. I think that it's going to be a year of, not for me, but for other people, it's going to be a year of stagnancy because of distraction. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but this is just the realism in me. I'm realistic. I'm real. Right now there's a lot of people. No offense to people that are using social media to make money, for using social media for the reason like I love your podcast. I don't really like a lot of other ones because they just talk about a whole bunch of hoopla. Like, what I'm saying. But I feel like 2026 for the people who are focused, and this has always been a thing for the people who are focused. Your lane is gonna be like nobody in it. It's gonna be 3 a.m. no traffic. You're on your way home because everybody's so distracted still, so busy looking at things and wondering and worrying about things that just don't really matter to you. And with that being said, I feel like for those, it's going to be a year that's going to have significant and impactful growth because, some growth is just growth, but it's going to be impactful for you. It's going to be a growth that's not just going to help you, but it's going to also help the people around you. Because when you have people that are like clouded minded and they're around you and they see you doing something different and it's working for you, it's either going to keep them asleep or it's going to wake them up. They're going to say, hey, what are you doing differently? And that's the place that I'm at right now in my life. I saw somebody in my life who I've known for a long time. They're doing something differently. And it's elevating them instead of them. So I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? So, he's been sending me podcasts. He's been sending me, things because these are things that he listens to, he tunes into, and he looks at books he reads. And I'm like, yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Okay. And are these outspoken voices like uplifting ones, or are they just loud mouths that are aiding to distraction?
It's going to be everything. I mean, even uplifting voices can be distracting. Because you can be in a position where you're doing something the wrong way, and you have somebody like, keep going. You got it. You should keep doing it. Instead of you have somebody saying like, you being stupid. You being real dumb right now. I don't know what you got going, but it's going to lead you down the wrong path. And I feel like with that oversaturation, it's going to be like a devil on one shoulder and angel on the other. It's like, who are you going to listen to? And the first person you should listen to, in my personal opinion, if you really want help, is yourself. Because if your self is crying for help, then you can actually go seek the places and the right outlets to get it. But if you in the midst of something and you can't even hear yourself crying for help, and you listening to all these other voices, TikTok, Instagram, all these dumb books that y'all be reading. I ain't gonna lie, not every book is the right book to read. Go look, go really research and vet the books that y'all read, to vet the people y'all around, the friends that you have, the circles you keep. Because, these people are tools of distraction in your lives. There's multiple people that I've dropped from my life over the past 5-6 years because they just don't do nothing with their life. And I'm trying to do more. There's habits that I'm trying to get rid of because it's keeping me stagnant, keeping me in still in my own life. So it's like, yo, am I going to delete this? Am I going to keep this? Am I going to keep this person in my life, or am I going to ask them? Am I going to unfollow these channels, unfollow these pages, these people, or am I going to continue to watch them? These celebrities that people watch and look up to, and I want to be like Beyonce, and I want to be like this person, Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Like, be yourself.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think you made a great point too about sometimes even a positive voice can be the wrong one if it's encouraging you into the wrong direction. And I feel like celebrities and musicians that are in like these more prominent positions, where they have so many voices, kind of uplifting them, encouraging them to, keep going in what they're doing, can be self-destructive if like their creative process and kind of the lifestyle that they're living, sure may produce work that we enjoy, but it's also causing that self-destruction because they're not listening to voice that says, hey, maybe you should slow down. Like, yeah, this is a cool project, but like there's so much going on and behind the scenes that maybe you should like take a break. And I think Kendrick Lamar is a great example of somebody that they can produce good work, but they're also like, we're aware that if I keep going, like I'm going to self-destruct. Mm-hmm. And so that whole hiatus that, he went on was a good example of what you're saying that people need to do is like, hey, you need to take the time to focus on what you know you need to focus on, and not be distracted by these voices that are telling you to keep going, even at the expense of like your own health and mental sake.
For sure. I mean, Kendrick Lamar comes to mind for multiple different reasons. First and foremost, a lot of people want to be with him, like him. I mean, who doesn't want to win a beef like Kendrick Lamar did? At the same time, though, a great point that you just made, Kendrick Lamar also takes that time for him to take a step away from the spotlight, even when they're still trying to shine it on him. You know, he's making sure he's taking care of his family, making sure he's taking care of his mental. You know, a lot of people don't know the reason why he went on hiatus. In my personal opinion, if I think I'm right, you know, it has something to do with his family. I would have did the same thing. But at the same time, it's like we have all these different outlets and different moral compasses that truly aren't moral compasses, because first and foremost, when you look at the things they do and look at the things that they listen to, the things they say, is contradicting. You know, a lot of men, they're single, and the reason they think they're trying to wonder, right? They're wondering why they're single. But bro, you listen to Future every day and NBA YoungBoy, and like you wonder why, like you listen to Brent Faiyaz, like, and you wonder why you're toxic, like. And then you a female and you walk around single, no offense, you're a woman. I apologize to any women out there that are offended by that. You're a woman, you're walking around listening to Summer Walker, you're listening to all these people who go through different relationship problems. And I'm not saying they don't make fire music, because they make fire music, like you just said. I was just listening to Summer Walker and Bryson Tiller when we was on the way to get some food, right? But I'm in a relationship. 5 years, I'm good to go. So it's a difference in the way, like, you do something, I do something, we do something. It's different, you know. So and on top of that, as my girl knows, as I know for myself, I don't look at these artists and for any type of mentorship, or I don't look at them as what's the word? I'm blanking right now.
Like something you said, emulate.
I don't look at them as like what am I blanking? Yeah, idol.
Idolize.
I don't look up to them. You know, I don't care about anything they have going on. My brother be like, hey yo, so and so got a Bugatti. Okay, good for them. And, you know, even when it comes down to the really messed up stuff, hey, so and so was murdered today. Oh man, prayers out to his family. Oh, well, what about him? Oh, what type of music did he make again? Murder music? Okay. Live by the gun? And they'll be like, oh, bro, you wrong. You're right, I am. I'm also a realist. So it kind of sucks. Prayers to your mama, though. You know? You're a girl, you're in a relationship. You talking a lot in your songs about twerking and this and hood that, and your man cheat on you. But you mad. I'm confused. I'm going to get banned. I'm going to get canceled.
Yeah, I think there's a difference. I mean, you made that point that there's a difference between those who listen because they're trying to like emulate or look up to these people because of like a lifestyle, and there are those who can just appreciate the music for what it is and let that be over after the 2-3 minutes. Great. That is, yeah.
It sounds great. Your music sounds really good. I wanna, you know, dance and you know, cool. I want my girl to dance with me. But besides from that, the beat was great. Would I if I had a daughter or my son listen to that? No, I don't want to listen to. I don't listen to. I kid you not. You riding in a car with me, bro. You will barely hear. Like, I listen to rap, I listen to hip hop, but it doesn't come on like that. Because a lot of the time, what is preaching and what is talking about, I just don't really care to hear. Lying. I listen to R&B, UK R&B. I listen to my brother, or I ride in silence. Cause I don't personally want to hear that. Cause, you know, for the year that I worked at a club and I was being a bouncer and I was listening to that, that's what I listened to all the time. I was aggressive. I was that's how I was. That's how I wanted to be. I wanted to fight. I wanted to, talk smack. I wanted to, that's how I wanted to live. And that's how I felt all the time. But the music that I listen to now is different. It's like, more peaceful, it's calm, thoughtful. But if I want to, I still have it right there. If I want to, I'm good though.
Yeah, I think the other day when I was coming home from like this 3-day shoot I did, I was listening to King Von and like Tay-K, but just but that was just so I can stay awake and get home,
Man.
get the energy going.
That's wicked. King Von and Tay-K. Sheesh.
Have you seen that picture of like all the people they have locked up?
R.I.P. Von.
Yeah, R.I.P. Anyways, have you seen that picture of the inmates they have locked up in like the New York State prison? It's like P. Diddy, it's Jeffrey Epstein's wife, Luigi's in there, and some other people. Yeah. I saw somebody post that on Instagram, and I made a petition to transfer Tay-K there as well. I feel like he deserves to be and they call it like this is like the Arkham Asylum equivalent at the New York State prison. I was like, yeah, we gotta put Tay-K there.
And I just want to say, look, man, I look at the camera and I say this too. I have been canceled by so many people that I know because of my personal opinions. Don't let this weigh on him. Please, don't let this weigh on him. This is not his fault. I am very outspoken. I have a very opinionated mind, and I feel like everybody is entitled to their opinion as long as they can actually back it up with sound argument. And if you can't, shut up. I'm just saying it's better to have an argument that can be an argument and be a debate rather than you just saying stuff because that's how you feel. But yeah, so don't let this cancel him. Just cancel me.
All right, I get canceled for listening to Tay-K?
No. For my personal opinions.
Oh,
and you allow
I'll be
me
all
to
right.
say them on your podcast.
I'll be all right.
I'm just saying, they'll be like, yo, bro, what? He doesn't listen to rap.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you'll be fine. There's so many like genres now that even if you say you don't listen to rap, there are like so many subgenres that incorporate like rap elements.
I mean, like I do. I listen to, there's a lot of people listen to you. If you haven't heard of Earth Gang, you need to wake up. They're fire. You know what I'm saying? I still listen to, and I listen to a lot of people, but at the same time, I listen to a lot of underground artists. I have a lot of people that I know personally that I listen to. I make my own music as well sometimes, so I like to listen to that. But it's just really hard for me to not emulate what I'm listening to. If I'm listening to something where it's just nothing but somebody being harmed and you're aggressive and you're hateful and vengeful, like, bro, like, y'all wonder, like, if, real talk, go to a club, right? Watch when the fights pop off. Listen to the song that's playing when the fight pop off. It don't matter if it's a girl. It don't matter if it's a dude. Just listen to the song that's playing in the background. Y'all see what I'm talking about. There's certain songs that just bring about certain things in you. You know what I'm saying? If you listening to Tank and you in the car with your girl, hot and steamy. It's just something that music moves the soul. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where it doesn't ask for permission to touch you in a specific way. Pause. But it does.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a very powerful point. And I think those who are aware of that have more of a
guarded mindset.
A guarded mindset to just take it in short
for face value
bursts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, without a doubt. Like if somebody puts out, like when J. Cole released his tape, I'm going to listen to it.
I forgot he was even supposed to be doing all that.
I'm going to listen to it. There's only specific people that I don't like to listen to, and it's only because I don't like their lifestyles and specifics.
What was that last one he did? That single he dropped?
Who?
J. Cole.
I don't.
It was like a freestyle. Have you heard it? Oh my gosh.
Is it good? You gonna play it for me?
I would if I wasn't connected to this interface.
Sheesh, I got you. But now, when you can actually digest what you're hearing, take the time to listen. It's a bigger thing, What do they say? You have one mouth and two ears. Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, I'm an observer. You know, I digest the things that are going on around me, and I actually like allow what I see other people go through to impact me, rather than me having to go through it for me to understand something as well. And I've always allowed that to be something that I do and emulate through my poetry as well. You know, so if you can hear it and really hear it, it's really up to you whether or not like you utilize that information. Anything. This goes for anything, not poetry, just anything in life. Whether you utilize that information or ignore that information. You know, when it comes to my poetry, it's really up to me for me to write the word that's going to impact you, or if it's not going to impact you. And I feel like if you have an understanding of what's going on around you in society, in the lives of others, in the mentals of others, the spirits of others, and you can put yourself in their shoes, it allows for you to write, make music, make art, you know, inspirational speeches, anything, podcast, you know, allows for you to do anything in a way where it's not a choice, but it's going to impact the people that you do it for or the people that you bring on, you know, or the people that look at your pieces, you know, or see your paintings or your, you know, anything, portraits, all those things, you know. And for me, specifically for the people who hear my poetry, um, and that's what I try to do. And you know, thanks be to God that and through my life, like I said, I've been able to really experience, you know, what other people go through and let it impact me rather than me have to go through it and let that come through my poetry.
Well, it sounds like a great segue into hearing some of these pieces. Um, you ready to get set up and perform for those?
I mean, whenever you're ready.
Well, where can the people find you before we make that transition?
So
Anything else you want to plug?
like I said, no, go get your hair and your beauty supplies at in the city beauty supply off of Newport and Antelope in Menifee, California, the largest black-owned beauty supply. And we also have another location, our original location, off of Jefferson and Elm in Marietta, as well as you know, this is the big thing because you know people be want to cancel people for this nowadays, and I don't care, and I'm very outspoken about this. If you are struggling with anything in your life, if you don't know what you want to do, if you don't know where you're going, I assure you, there's one place and there's one person that you can always turn to, and his name is Jesus Christ. And if you don't know him, I implore you to seek him, find him, and get to know him. Because even if you don't have peace now, you don't have happiness now, just a single day with him is going to fill you with a peace that you've never known. Trust me. But you got to give him a chance. You can't be closed-minded, bro. People be over here closed-minded and stuff. They be like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know about Jesus. Give him a try. You asked me to write about 2026 and asked me what do I predict. I find myself asking if I should speak about the world or myself and get personal. So I chose to get personal. I'm bad at showing my emotions, but using my words, I can express things that hurt to show. In 2025, it hurts to show. But 2026 is my year for growth. See, my prediction is success and elevation. No more stagnation. I was once like a still pool of water, but now a river that ebbs and flows with changes. This year, I've getting rid of bad tendencies, moving pieces and creating a new mosaic. Simply shifting broken pieces can change your point of view, so it's worth the rearrangement. See, 2025, I went through struggles. I was warring with myself, slapping the hands that reached out to me when I was down and needed help, blinded by my ego, deaf to guiding voices, pushing away all forms of assistance, all while playing the cards that I was dealt. Had it not been for all the prayers and support, I would have lost the hand. Many times over, I would have been dead, but that wasn't in his plan. So in 2026, it's the year I grow my territory, my wealth, even my potential expands. But with the most importance, I say, I leave 2026 all in God's hands. One plus one is two, and two halves make a whole. But now my heart is a vast hole that was left to erode when you emotionally packed your bags and hit the road. See, you were the yin to my yang. And now that you're gone, I felt the pain after the bang. Dang, I'm going insane. My life's too plain. Picked up and flew up and dropped by a plane. Falling too fast, I might hit the ground before the rain. See, I just wanted to give you my heart's fire, but I was punished like Prometheus and bound in these chains, holding me back, nowhere to go. No light shining as I'm looking to and fro. Pain so bad I can't express it like I stubbed my big toe. See, fasting from your love is worse than 40 days and 40 nights. Worse than knowing I'm gonna die in 40 days by the trample of 40 nights. It's the worst thing ever. When we was together, the only thing I saw flash were the lights, but the only thing I saw flash when you left was my life. Nightmares being forged while I'm tucked in these covers, sewed from strife. This pillow I sleep on feels hard and sharp. I guess I'm sleeping on a knife. See, depression planted in my life and left to be picked by the hands of suicide when it's perfectly ripe. Yes, one plus one is two. So how am I supposed to be whole without you? I might as well slit my wrist and drown in the pool because I'm only half of this equation. And you won't come back to me no matter the persuasion, no matter the occasion. Tulips, roses, orchids, irises, you're my flower, so I can't help this emotional invasion. Because you're my other half. Yes. One plus one is two. I'm dipping my hand into a cookie jar labeled emotions. And my subconscious is telling me don't be stupid. You know the consequences for catching feelings, but I'm tripping over shoelaces waiting to be knighted by love. Waiting like a catcher playing baseball with an open cushion glove. I guess I am acting stupid. But I can't help it because I was pranked by a joker named Cupid. He took aim, he fired, I moved, he missed, he sweared and took aim again, vowing not to miss the target again. Too bad the target is me. Too bad that this time I didn't want to move. I wanted to see how the sequence would play out if I allowed this wall I built stronger than Jericho's to crumble away with each laugh that escapes the clutches of your greedy lips. I wanted to test the limits of my regenerating trust. I wanted to explore the uncharted depths of passion that has been stretching its hands, no, stretching its currents we call affection to pull me down under and drown me in every genre of emotion known to man, leaving me gasping for the air that I call you, praying and hoping that my lungs are strong enough to expand once more to be filled with something other than the toxin known as loneliness, praying and hoping that my heart doesn't stop when it experiences joy, but I'm okay if it skips a beat because I know that it's just trying to synchronize its beat with yours. Cookie jar. It's my overtime though. See, hot and fresh out the oven, it's like God said, come and get it. Sweet baked scent, body soft, round but firm. P.S. No need to handle with care. No need to be scared even if I do dip in, I mean, milk that is. Cause that cookie don't crumble. For that reason, I'll take my cookie over second. See, cookie months to season, I'll turn blue and eat that cookie if you beckon. I've never been big on sweets you bake, but that cookie sure do look good sitting in front of all that cake. I won't complain cause I got a sweet tooth for this type of chocolate on my plate. Shoot, I'm trying to help with that second batch, but I'll wait. See, this cookie jar got one cookie in it, and it's all mine. Non-perishable, won't expire, only gets sweeter with time. See, I never knew a cookie could age like wine, yeah. So I'm dipping my hand into a cookie jar labeled commitment. And my cardinal is telling me don't move with quickness, but I can't help but move with speed because if I don't, someone else might get that cookie before me. And like that knot you get in your stomach after you eat a good meal, I'll take the pleasure and the pain because I know I'd rather have my cookie by my side, not a side any day. Cookie jar.